So, all right, Board of Directors meeting, Windham School District. Today is April 18th, 2024. It is 14:36 or 2:36, and we are calling the meeting to order. Was there any public comment? And I see none. So we'll move on to changes.
Actually, so sorry. So Sarah E, her comment was in the chat. Even though Sarah, we don't usually have chat going, but I will read your public comment anyway. She just wanted to say thank you to Dan for sending out info regularly.
Excellent. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah. And it's now been disabled, by the way. So.
Okay. Any changes to the agenda? And hearing none, I make a motion for the board to enter executive session under 1 V.S.A. statute 313A1 after making a specific finding that premature public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at substantial disadvantage. F, confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the body. With that, I'd like to include that this will be an executive session with myself, Abigail Pelton, Daniel Roth, Rory Roslott, and Mark Ottinger. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. It is now 14:38 or 2:38, and we are going to stop the recording. Welcome back. It is 16:08 or 4:08 p.m. And the Windham School District Board of Directors special meeting is back in open session. We can move to old business, approving articles for revote. Daniel, would you like to read that from here?
Yeah, I'll just share screen if that works. All right, can everyone see this? I'll blow it up. Can everyone see that all right?
I can.
Cool. All right, just one verbal confirmation. Okay, so we have talked with our lawyer, Mark Ottinger, and we do have a list of articles that we would like to propose and then approve for our revote day. Article 1, shall the voters of the Windham School District approve the closure of Windham Elementary School and the tuitioning of resident students in accordance with 16 V.S.A. Statute 821 and related statutes. Article 2, if Article 1 passes, shall the voters of the Windham School District approve the school board to expend $557,344, which is the amount the school board has determined necessary for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Article 3, if Article 1 passes, shall the voters of Windham School District grant general authority to the school board to pay tuition for an elementary student at an approved independent elementary school, which is eligible to receive public funding in an amount not to exceed the average announced statewide elementary school tuition.
Thank you, Daniel. I move to approve article. Do you want to go each article? So I move to approve Article 1. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Move to approve Article 2. If Article, am I reading these again? Article 2, can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I move to approve Article 3. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye. Okay. So we have moved on to,
we have Crystal raising your hand.
go ahead, Crystal.
I'm just wondering why the school board isn't voting to close the school, why they're putting it to the town.
Yeah, Mark, do you mind fielding this question?
Right. My reading of Title 16 of the Vermont Statutes, Section 821, is that every school district, which includes the Windham Town School District, shall operate an elementary school unless the electorate, by voting to close the school, authorizes the school board to pay tuition in accordance with Vermont statute. So we have looked through the statutes to see whether the board has authority to do it unilaterally. And my conclusion, based on 8 years as having served as general counsel of the Vermont Agency of Education and being very closely involved with school governance stuff, and by looking at the current version of the statute, which in that respect has not changed, my reading of the statute is that closing a school is such a fundamental change that the law doesn't allow the board to do it unilaterally, but is basically places that right, that responsibility in the hands of the electorate. We spent a little bit of time talking about the fact that, this is such a fundamental thing, whether or not you have a school in your community, that it's a protection essentially to vest the voters with the power to do so. We also talked about the possibility that at some point in the future, the electorate could vote to reopen the school. For example, if suddenly there's a big influx of students, and maybe suddenly there's no longer a shortage of licensed teachers and school administrators. My understanding is that the board proposes to maintain the school, perhaps to turn it into a profit center, as a benefit to the community, and potentially to be there in the event that circumstances change and the decision is made to reopen the school. And so that's another bunch of the sort of policy reasons behind this, but I don't think, it's just my personal opinion, that school boards have the authority without the consent and approval of the electorate to close schools.
Are you aware there was a vote in 2018 to give the school board the power to close the school?
I'm not aware of all of the votes that may have occurred in years gone by. I'm just going on the basis of statute. And again, just because there might, I don't know what was voted upon, and it's great that if the school board has the authority to do that. But what I'm saying is, I think what the school board has decided here, if I understand it correctly, is to essentially not exercise that right if it has that right, but to instead follow the dictates of the electorate.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Happy to answer any other questions that folks may have.
I see Chris's hand up.
Go ahead, Chris Mays.
Yes, thanks. Is that budget for if the Article 1 passes or closes? I mean,
Here, I could share screen again. That way you can
passes
see
or
it.
fails.
If it passes, and again, folks, stop me if somebody else wants to answer these questions. But so what the budget, as I understand it, contemplates is the idea that just as for the current year, that the school would not be operating next year, and the 522,000 or whatever the number is, essentially contemplates largely the cost of tuition that is going to be placed upon the district by the parents of students who live in Windham, who will have, if you close the elementary school choice at those grade levels. And so I think that it's anticipated that there may be 20 or 22 students. And so when you look at the average announced tuition, and frankly, it's a little bit of a moving target, because parents, if you close the school, parents of kids that go to those grades have the ability to instruct the district to pay tuition to any public school or any approved independent school that enjoys the status of eligible to receive public funding. That requires some quality issues that are assessed by the State Board of Education. So the estimate is if those 22, if you close the school, it's going to be about $20,000 per student. That's what it's going to cost. There's a cap with respect to independent schools, and that's built into Article 3 because you can't exceed the average announced elementary school tuition without getting voter approval, and that's not what the board is proposing here. They're just basically saying, people want to go to an independent school as long as it's approved, as long as it's eligible to receive public funds. We're good with that, but if they charge $40,000 a year, the limit that the district is willing to pay and the limit that they're required to pay is the average announced elementary tuition, which is just the average of taking all the elementary school tuitions across the state and adding them up and dividing them by the number of students. And it's around a little under $20,000. So that budget contemplates school closure.
Okay, got you.
And there are a couple of other expenses in there that I'm sure the board could explain that because they want to maintain the school. They want to potentially repurpose the school, perhaps actually use the school to make a profit and potentially have it available to reopen in the event of the future, or maybe sell it at some point down the road and apply those proceeds to sort of a war chest for the district that could be used to offset tuition in the future. Or if I'm sure you can see that could be seen as sort of eating your nest egg. There are a bunch of things that could be done, but if you ultimately decide, or if the board ultimately decides to sell the school, but for the moment, I think they're contemplating about $25,000 to continue maintaining the quality of the school while they explore revenue generating options for it.
Yeah,
All
and
right,
I'll just add not just revenue, but not just offsetting the maintenance, but lowering the maintenance assumption. So through efficiencies. We've reached out to and we're in contact with Efficiency Vermont to identify, say, low-hanging fruit that we can address in a timely manner that would bring down our maintenance assumptions.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's see. Seeing that there are no other questions and that we don't have a Q&A actually on the agenda, I appreciate you being here today, Mr. Ottinger. Thank you all very much for your time. Our next meeting is scheduled for May 9th, 2024. So today it is 16:20 or 4:20. And
Hey,
I'm calling
Abby?
to adjourn the meeting. Can I have a second, please?
Abby, Crystal's got her hand up.
I'm just wondering if you guys know when this vote will take place. I'm sorry.
And that's no problem. We are in contact with the town. So everything for our scheduling was predicated on getting these articles approved. Now that we have the articles approved, we've already asked the town, within this month, what are any time slots for key people that we can't schedule a vote. But the intention is to schedule a vote 30 days in advance, as soon as we can, essentially.
So didn't we have May 18th?
Oh, have we already put it out there?
Well, that's what we discussed at the last meeting.
Yeah, we discussed that. I guess we didn't
I believe we're
cement that
within
with,
that timeline, so we can send on the articles now that they've been approved.
And I don't think that 30 days is not applicable.
Mark, do you have any thoughts there?
My opinion is that it may not be binding and it may not be the same notice requirement as town meeting, but I think it's an appropriate and legal period of time. I think one of the other things that was contemplated, given the past voting down of the budget, is that if you don't want to be stuck with 83% of the last year's budget, you need to pass a budget on or before July 1, or that 83%, is basically forced upon you, which I think would be pretty devastating and pretty complicated.
Correct.
Yeah, that would be
Um,
bad.
And so this gives us an opportunity if, since today we have at least 30 days until the vote to get it published. And if it fails again, to have one more crack at getting it passed, that would still give us a successful budget on or before that July 1 deadline. So that's again, I think that an appropriate amount of time, especially when you're talking about making a major decision like this, I don't think the electorate should be forced to vote more quickly than is necessary. And so it may not be necessary for us to abide by the no fewer than 30, no more than 40 days, but I think that's a good standard to use in this case.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you for asking, Crystal. So I do have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so it is now 16:23 or 4:23, and the meeting is adjourned. Mark, thank you again for being here.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you, public, for being here, and the board for all your hard work. So have a lovely rest of your day and a safe weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
everyone.
you.